So this Civic Si I'm driving right now, yeah, I bought it for $4,000 on Facebook Marketplace. You're probably thinking I'm going to tell you about what a great deal I got and how I'm a Facebook Marketplace warrior. Well, actually, I got scammed. This car was literally a scam. Turns out this car had a cracked engine block. I didn't find out until I owned it for a month already. And by then, it was too late. The car was my problem. And it's not just me. My friend bought a G37 off Facebook Marketplace. The odometer said 90,000 miles. Turns out it actually had 190,000 miles. Straight up odometer fraud. It took my bro 3 months to get that car registered. So how do you avoid this happening to you? Well, clearly don't listen to me. I'm just kidding. I've learned from my mistakes. But seriously, should you just go to a dealership and skip Facebook Marketplace? I mean, that's a scam of its own. So today, I'm going to be walking you through how to buy a car on Facebook Marketplace in 2026 without getting scammed. And trust me, I've got experience. I've owned 5 cars at this point, and I've looked at least 30 different marketplace cars. Some good, some awful, and some that literally should not be street legal. Alright, so the first thing you have to do is actually get on Facebook Marketplace, which is harder than it sounds because Facebook loves banning new accounts for no reason. Like, actually, what's up with that? I can't lowball a guy on 4 different accounts anymore. Anyways, once you're scrolling on Marketplace, you're going to see a lot of stuff. Probably a bunch of garbage. Like, bro, I don't want your salvage title BMW with stars in the headliner for $15K. And here's the first problem. How do you even know if a car is actually a good deal? My first tip, and this alone is going to eliminate 50% of the bad deals, use Kelley Blue Book. It's free, easy, and it's going to save you from overpaying. Go to Kelley Blue Book, click My Car's Value, enter year, make, model, mileage, condition, and KBB is going to give you a realistic value range. If the seller is asking way more than what KBB is saying, I mean, you already know to lowball the guy, or honestly just walk away. Okay, great. So now you know how to figure out what's a good price on a vehicle, but what cars should you actually be looking for on Marketplace? And before you fall in love with a car, you got to ask yourself, what am I actually going to use this car for? Does it need to be a reliable car? Is it a project car? Supposed to be a fun car? And if you're watching this video, you're probably buying your first car, or you just need something reliable. So here's my boring but correct answer. I would say look for Hondas, Toyotas, Lexus. Are these cars boring? Yes, but they're also going to be reliable. These cars are going to last forever, parts are going to be cheap, and every mechanic is going to know how to fix them. If you're unsure about a car's reliability, just use Google. Just search up insert car's name reliability. 5 minutes of clicking on some links, and people will either tell you this car's straight garbage or mine lasted 300,000 miles. You're going to get a lot of information just off a quick Google search. Now, here's some cars I would be careful with. When you're scrolling on Marketplace, you're always going to see that $7,000 Mercedes that was $100,000 15 years ago. And when I was 16 and looking for my first car, I'm not gonna lie, I almost fell for this. There's a Jaguar. It was $7,000, and I remember it looked so nice. It was clean. It was in a super nice town neighborhood from my area, and I wanted it so bad. But there's a reason why these cars are so cheap. Most of the time, these luxury cars depreciate hard because they cost so much money to repair. Those cheap BMWs, Mercedes, Audis, yeah, they look sick, but all that fancy tech just loves to break. When I watch YouTube videos, I like to watch those, oh, I bought this V12 Mercedes for, $5,000, whatever. And in every single one of these videos, the ABC suspension on Mercedes, I'd never heard of it, but every single video, it always costs thousands to fix, and it's always bad. It's just never working. So trust me, I recommend staying away from super depreciated old luxury cars. They're just expensive. And also, some of these cars are so complicated, you can't just take them to any mechanic shop. Mechanics will straight up refuse to work on these cars because they're so advanced and complicated. They'll just straight up deny your business. So yeah, that V8 or that V12 with 400 or 500 horsepower sounds amazing, but trust me, if you don't know what you're doing, you're not going to be using that 400 horsepower for very long. All right, and when I'm looking at cars on Marketplace, a rule of thumb that I love to use is if the car looks clean and well kept, the odds are it's been maintained at least a little. If the car is filthy, full of trash, looks like someone lives in it, you have to ask yourself, if the person is too lazy to clean their car, to take pictures to sell it, do you really think they even bothered to change the oil? Now, this isn't foolproof. A bad car can obviously be detailed, and a good car can look disgusting. A perfect example is my brother's car. It actually looks like a straight junker, but I make sure all maintenance is up to date, and it runs perfectly. So pictures aren't everything, but from what I've experienced, they're usually a really good starting point. The next thing I want to talk about is car VIN numbers, a vehicle identification number. It's basically the car's social security. Now, right away, if you're asking a seller for a VIN and they won't give it to you, it's a red flag. There should be no reason to hide a VIN. It's extremely normal to ask somebody for a VIN when you're buying cars. With a VIN, you're able to check accident history, odometer records, number of owners, title status, where the car has been registered, and this is all before you even go see the car. You can usually use a VIN checker website. The most famous is Carfax, and there's other ones that are a little cheaper than Carfax, and they'll usually tell you the history of the car so you can get an idea. Yeah, some VIN checks cost like $30 to $40, but let me tell you, it's way cheaper than buying a car that's been in an accident before, or maybe it has rolled back mileage. Remember my friend's G37 with 90,000 miles? Yeah, a VIN check literally would have exposed that immediately. And I have a tip. If you keep watching this video, I have a tip later on how to get VIN checks for cheap from a police station. All right, perfect. You finally found the car. The price checks out. It looks decent. You're interested. And now what do you do? I would say message the seller and set up a time to see it. Half the time, I swear people on Marketplace don't even respond. So just find a few nice cars, send out a few messages, and see what happens. Now, here's what I always do. I always meet during the day, and I meet at a police station if possible. If the seller refuses to meet at a police station, I'm not going to lie. Once again, that's kind of sus. I mean, there should be no reason why they don't want to meet at a police station. They got to be ballsy if they're going to rob you at a police station. So I also recommend bringing a family or a friend with you. Just don't go alone. Make sure you got somebody with you. But wait, I almost forgot the most important part. All right, if you're watching this video, you're probably not a mechanic. And even if you are, you're probably not going to be able to see everything just from looking at the car for 5 minutes and taking it for a drive. The most important thing I would say you can get done is ask the seller to get a pre-purchase inspection. And you might be asking, what's that? You can take your car to any mechanic to get it inspected before you buy a car. This is pretty normal. I've done it on most of the cars that I've bought. I would recommend before you meet to see the car, ask the seller, hey, can I get it looked at by a shop? Call a shop that's in the nearby area if you have a location you're meeting at. Most shops are going to charge around $50 to $100 for an inspection. I've even had some do it for free. Just depends on where you're located. But most sellers should be open to doing this unless they're hiding something major. But most of the time, you should be good. And trust me, this inspection can literally save you thousands of dollars. When you take your car to a shop, the mechanic's going to tell you, oh, it needs tires. It's leaking oil from here. Maybe the CV boot's torn. Maybe it's really rusty underneath. You're going to get a really good idea of the mechanical condition of the car. And you can decide, hey, it's got a few minor problems. Ask the seller, hey, could I get maybe $500 off, $1,000 off? It just needs some basic fixes. Or maybe the car has a lot of issues. It's super rusty underneath. The mechanic's like, it's leaking oil from all these different spots. And at that point, yeah, you spent the money, but trust me, it was worth it. Now you can just walk away and be like, hey, I'm not really interested in this car. And remember, a cheap car that's bad just will not be cheap in the long run. I don't know how else to say it, but if you buy that car and the mechanic's telling you it's got a lot of issues, trust me, car repairs, unless you're doing them yourself, are not cheap. All right, I just said a lot of info, and it's probably all jumbled up in your mind. So I'm going to play out a scenario if I was buying a car right now, just so you guys can kind of get an idea of how it plays out and what it might look like. All right, so I'm gonna reach out to the seller. I'm like, hi, I'm interested in looking at this car. Is there anything I should know about it before I see it? Usually the seller is going to say something like, nope, the car's good, just had the oil change, it has a new battery. They love to throw stuff in like that if it has like any new parts on it. And then I would just respond with, perfect. When could I take a look at it? Could we meet at a local police station? If everything checks out, would I be able to then take it to a local mechanic for inspection? Usually the seller doesn't have an issue. They might respond back with, just an example, I can meet Saturday at 12. Here's the location for the police station. Do you have a shop that you want to take it to? I'd recommend maybe asking for the VIN after this, then running like a VIN check. And if they give you the location of like a police station, I look up some mechanic shops in the area, maybe call around, try and set something up with a mechanic, let them know like, hey, I'm going to bring in a car that I'm looking at buying. And most mechanic shops don't have an issue with this. They'll be like, hey, it's going to be $50. Then you can tell the seller, the shop that you're going to be using, and you can meet up. It's really It's really not too complicated. Now, was a scripted scenario that I just made up, but I've probably done 30 Facebook Marketplace meetups at this point, and this strategy works pretty well. Just be friendly. Just ask the basic questions. Can we meet at a police station? Can I get the car inspected? Can I get the VIN? Most sellers are not going to have an issue. Just don't be talking their ear off and giving them a hard time before you even see the car. Except this strategy works great, except when I got a little too excited when I bought my Civic. I skipped the shop and I ended up buying my Civic with a cracked engine block because I didn't get inspected by a shop first. All right, great. Everything checks out. The mechanics of the car is good. You and the seller agreed on a price. And this is a private sale, so you're going to need to get the title. Now, I'm not a legal expert, but just some basic things when getting a title signed over. Make sure the name that's on the title matches the seller's ID. Like, the car shouldn't be in somebody else's name. Make sure it's properly signed over. There's going to be boxes on a title and they're going to tell you what to do on the paper, like buyer sign here, seller sign here. Now, I'm not going to go step by step here because the laws do vary by state and titles can look different. But here's an amazing tip I have for you guys. So if you're meeting at a police station, I recommend going inside the building and you can have an officer come out and help you with this entire process. An officer is going to tell you exactly what to do, make sure nobody's getting scammed. And another tip that I talked about earlier is some police stations offer a car VIN check for cheap. They'll do it for like $20 instead of the 40 or 50 that it costs regularly. So don't be afraid to ask. I recommend just when you're getting the title signed over, have an officer out there with you. Make sure you're doing it right, especially if it's your first time. Right. Facebook Marketplace is not evil, but it can be full of people trying to dump their problems onto you. So do your research, bring some help, get inspections, and don't fall in love with a car before it proves itself. Sometimes cars are just bad, and that's why we take the precautions to make sure we don't get scammed with a bad car. Learn from my mistakes, my friends' mistakes, so you don't end up like a cracked engine block like me, and good luck with buying your first car. If this video helped you, hit the like button, subscribe, and if you have any questions, leave a comment, and I'll get back to you in the comments below. Thanks for watching, guys.